Hey everyone, it's Sheri Shannon, owner and director of Shannon Strategies, here with our digital content lead, Morgan Toliver. Say hello to the people.
Hello.
I love that. You're like, hello. We are back with another episode of What's Going On with Your Comms. And we thought it would be relevant to talk about the Super Bowl. Now I'm a huge sports fan, but I don't really watch much of the NFL. So I was kind of one of those folks who's like, who all is playing? What all is going on here? But I watched the game and of course I looked forward to the commercials and the halftime show. Morgan, did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did not. I admittedly am not a big sports person, so I was asleep when the Super Bowl was happening. But I feel like I experienced everything secondhand. So all of the ads, Rihanna's performance, got all the TikTok videos and Twitter tweets.
That is interesting. I have noticed a shift in how we are consuming like the game of the year, basically. Because everyone would watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. And then we started having social media and they put commercials on YouTube and other social media platforms, or even teasing what the ads were going to be. So if you knew that you could watch it the day afterwards, it was like, do I really need to sit here through this whole game?
Yeah,
And it sounds like you are part of that trend.
I am. And it's always, I mean, the interesting part to me is who chooses to spend that much money on a Super Bowl ad. I feel like that for me is a pivotal question. I'm like, what encouraged you to do this essentially?
It is a lot of money. And I was looking up just some data that says that there isn't a direct boost in sales, but now they're saying that there is an increase in like site traffic for those advertisers. So I'm kind of like, is that really the most effective use? I mean, I especially if nothing is really memorable. Like to me, I was
Yeah.
happy to see the E-Trade babies come back. I know that there was the ad about like the woman and her dog, and okay, but if you were to ask me what really stood out, I couldn't tell you. There were
Yeah.
a lot of celebrities. Some of them I was like, what are we advertising? Like, what is Serena? That whole Remy Martin commercial, I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm like, I get it because I feel like there is an automatic word of mouth. If your commercial is crazy enough or if it stands out enough, like you do get that increase in people just generally talking about the ad. But in my opinion, they're talking about the ad. Like they're not necessarily talking about what you're selling or talking about your company. They're like, wow, this ad was crazy or this ad made no sense.
Mhm.
Like that is the conversation that goes around these ads rather than directly what they're trying to sell.
Another trend that I saw within these advertisements, and it wasn't new just to the Super Bowl, but I've seen an increase of this, especially during the pandemic, is the use of QR codes. And so it's not, we don't always see like visit such and such.com for more information. It's more like scan the code on the screen. This assumption that, of course, most people have a smartphone and can just like hold up their phone and then be automatically taken to a website. And so I'm seeing more and more of that as well. I don't know if I fall into that category of people who's going to use that code to learn more about that. I feel like that's what the ad is supposed to be for. Like, you tell me what I'm supposed to know in this moment. But have you kind of seen something similar with QR codes as well?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. I do think it works to a certain degree. Like people are less likely to type in a whole URL than they are to just pick up their phone and take a picture or pick up their phone and scan the QR code. So it makes sense to a certain degree, but I agree with you in that it's like just tell me what I'm supposed to know. Tell me your,
Mhm.
organization's name or your company's name and like that's all the information that I really should be getting from this commercial to then use at a later date rather than like an immediate QR code, go to our website right now kind of thing. Especially when you're watching a major event, like you're watching the event. You're not necessarily interacting with these commercials immediately. You might be doing it after the fact, in which that QR code becomes sort of obsolete.
There was one kind of gripe within my viewing party, which was around a lot of the gambling ads. And of course, this, what I would call this performative patriotism that happens on a lot of sporting events, especially for the NFL. And this general consensus within my viewing party was like, imagine if those dollars were spent to advocate for like some real serious issues that are happening within our communities. Like, what if we saw a major ad buy talking about healthcare disparity? Or what if it praised our other essential workers, such as like teachers and childcare providers and domestic workers, women in the workforce? And that isn't to say that's never happened before, but you look at who has the money and like what they are pushing. And I was like, wow, instead of having like 5011 gambling advertisements, how compelling it would have been for us to not just have like a feel good like Budweiser commercial, but it was like a feel good commercial about like the people who actually make this country move forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing that like this huge avenue of advertising is totally cut off to certain people and organizations. Like it's just not attainable. It may never be attainable for those types of, advocacy needs or action needs. Like that messaging may never be available on that scale. And so it definitely is a disappointment to see like these are the type of ads that we're consuming and we're pushing to folks. Like we're not at all concerned about what's going on in our communities at this scale.
For smaller scale, because you are a digital content lead, so you do work on a number of projects and issue campaigns for our clients in which they are advocating for dental and health benefits, for reproductive justice, for voting rights, housing, all of those things. Do you have any tips for folks who are advertising, at least like in the digital space, maybe not so much for like a national audience, but thinking about where they can be sharing their messaging in an effective way?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't need Super Bowl ad money to run digital ads, which is great. And they can be really, really effective if they're done right, with a really small amount of money. So I always tell clients, if you're trying to use the least amount of money possible, just boost a post. So if there's a post that you really want to amplify to folks, it has your content, it has your message and your call to action, like just spend $10, $15 on it and make sure you're hitting the areas or ages or whatever demographics that you want to hit within, that boosting. And this is on Facebook ads in particular, or Instagram ads. And if you're running a full ad campaign, you have even bigger parameters that you can set. You can really narrow it down to certain areas if you're trying to push legislation in a certain area. You can reach certain ages if you're talking about, dental or medical benefits. Like those are all options within Facebook ads, and it can be super effective for pushing your message. So to me, I think you need to narrow down your audience. So who are you trying to target? Why are you targeting them? So you know what your call to action is. Are we leading them to a website or a petition or, what have you? And make sure those are set within your ad so you're not just wasting your money.
And on that note, I feel like that is all that I have to say when it comes to digital marketing and at least advertising. Do you have any final thoughts for folks when it comes to those topics?
I don't. I hope people take advantage of digital ads. They're a great way to push your message, and you don't need to do it on the Super Bowl.
Hard agree, especially if we're not going to remember most of the commercials.
Exactly.
As always, if you need any additional communications and digital marketing support, that's what we are here for at Shannon Strategies. Feel free to reach out to us at team@shannonstrategies.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Shannon Strategies as well. Okay, until next time.